Hello everyone, my name is Edward Thomas Holbrook. I am going to tell you how a Michigan state law destroyed my life for 6 years that should not be in effect. It turned me into a drug addict. And it cost me my home, and this is what pretty much where I lost everything. Let's go back to 2015. In 2015, I lived in Stockholm Village in Sanford, Michigan. Margaret Johnson gave me a water bill for $700. It was six something to be exact, or it was close to seven. And I refused to pay a $700 bill for 1 month. I would have a lake outside my trailer. Okay. And I refused to pay it. So she sent me an eviction notice. And I lived there for 5 years prior to it. And we went to court. And I got evicted. And I could not understand it. Nobody wanted to listen to me. Maybe people will listen to me now. I'm hoping this reaches all the way to President Biden and the federal housing, because this has drove me insane, turned me into a drug addict, and made me lose my mind and lose my son. Okay, let's go back to 2015. I go to court, and we go to the courtroom, and I ask the judge, my rent comes right out of my checks. I don't even get to send it to her. I put it had it sent in 2 different bank accounts, and one was hers. And I'm like, Judge, show me where my money is. Show me. I mean, I was screaming in there. I was like, show me where my money is, hollering and screaming. I was the second person in line. And he stopped my trial and made me the very last one, because I freaked out in there. And then he told her to be there. I'm going to give all to the background of this story, but this is what all led through court. And next time we go to court, I told him I'd bring my lawyer. I didn't have a lawyer. I was trying to sue her. And it didn't go through. And I went back this second time. And the judge looked at her, and he just says, what do you want to do? And she said she wants me out. He wouldn't even listen to my side. And because who remembers to go knock on their landlord's door after a year to sign a lease? Come on, people. Who in their right mind remembers that? Not too many tenants. Okay. I lived there for 5 years. I did sign a lease when I moved in. I thought that was good all the way through. I didn't know I was living there month to month. Maybe it was my fault for not reading the lease on that part, but still, you would never remember. A lot of tenants do not remember to go sign a lease. A lease protects you, okay? Because wasn't in a lease. She wanted me out, and the judge kicked me out. And this is in November, okay? Now in the state of Michigan, and he tells me I have 90 days to remove my property off her property, my trailer. Now in the state of Michigan, you cannot move a trailer during November, December, and January due to frost laws. That's what I was told. I had the money to move it. So in the end, this lady sold my home because she evicts people when she gets mad at them, knowingly that they're not in a lease, because I feel, the landlords, and this is where I'm asking for the federal housing, the landlords should step in and make sure you're in that lease so nothing else happens like this ever again to nobody. This was 5-6 years of hell I put my kid through. And kids, listen, it'll tell you a lot about drugs and an education, how important it is and what not to do. By the way, I only have an 8th grade education, so I don't understand a lot. So, let's get back to the story. Okay, because I wasn't in a lease, the judge looked at me and says, I got 10 days to get out. And that was in November. I lost my mind. I could not understand. Nobody wanted to listen to my story. You know why I refused to pay this lady? Those census meters that are in there were defective at the time. If you look at all their batch numbers that's in that trailer park, because I know they haven't changed them out, they are in the batch numbers that got kicked out of Florida, Chicago. I've done a lot of research. And yet nobody wanted to listen to me. I got kicked out for refusing to pay a water bill. That's what this basically boils down to. For refusing to pay a $600 and some water bill for a month. They were defective meters in certain lot numbers. And those serial numbers do not lie. They are with, I think it was 250,000 or 500,000 meters that they said were defective within certain serial numbers. I can't remember the exact numbers, but those meters she had was within the defective meters if anybody looks at one today. So nobody wanted to listen to my story. I could not understand. I went outside the courthouse. This is how bad this law drove me insane. I lost my house just because she wanted me out. And why? Because I wasn't in a lease. Okay. Who in their right mind remembers a lease? To sign a lease as a tenant? I don't. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't. To go, oh, January 15th, I gotta go sign my lease. A lot of people don't remember that a year later. I'm asking the federal housing government all the way to Biden. And I don't even like Biden. I voted for Trump. I'm pushing it to this far to change this law, to make sure the landlords have the tenants in a lease or to move. That way it protects the tenants' rights too. So I was kicked out. I went outside the courthouse and I wrote a sign saying I was wrongfully evicted in Midland County. I stood out there for 3 or 4 days. And kids, this is where education comes in. I wrote I was wrongfully evicted in Midland, Michigan. I forgot the C in evicted. My buddy Blake Burt calls me. Somebody Facebook live streamed it or whatever it's called. And he calls me. He says, you spelled evicted wrong. You forgot the C. I had so many people try to give me money. Stop and give me money. Try to offer things. I said, I didn't want your money. I just want my home. Me and my son's home. Yes, it was a trailer, but it was home. It was our home. It might not have been your $100,000 houses or anything, but it was me and my son's home. That was home. And I owned it. So I get evicted and I try like hell to move my trailer. And you can't move a trailer in November, December, January due to frost laws. Pretty smart bitch this is, because I see her evict a lot of people during that time. Well, if you can't move your trailer, guess what? Now she owns it because you can't move it within the 90 days. You see how this law, I'm begging for this law to be changed. You can't move it. You just lost your home. You just was raped of everything. I might have got kicked off her property, but I was raped of my home. But I stood outside the courthouse. I begged and begged, contacted TV News 5. Sarah Simich, I'm sorry for everything I've sent you. I do apologize. I'm very computer illiterate, so I do apologize. I lost my mind over this. And I was begging for help and nobody could help me because it was a law. I don't know if you quit or got fired because of me, but I do apologize for any headaches I did put you through. Frank Turner, hi. Sent you a lot of crazy stuff too. So, yes, I begged and pleaded for help, and nobody can help me because it was a law. How can you cover a law when a news story when it's a law? Nobody would listen to my side. So pretty much it boils down to I did not want to pay a water bill with defective meters, and I argued with this lady, and she got mad at me, kicked me out, and pretty much stole my mobile home. Is that fair, America? You know, why can't, okay, if you get kicked out in the state of Michigan in November and you're on somebody else's property, why can't you have 6 months to move your property if it's due to frost laws? They need to take something in consideration here to make it fair for us too, not just them. Because they know when they kick you out during frost laws in a trailer park and you own your trailer, guess what? They own it. I don't care if it's $1,000 trailer or a $50,000 trailer. That lady just owned it. Is that fair? No. Anyways, I went crazy. I stood outside the courthouse with a sign saying I was wrongfully evicted in Midland, Michigan, not evicted. Had some 3rd or 4th graders come by, point at my sign, laugh. Didn't know what they were laughing at. Now I do. I went home. I spray painted on my trailer. Bitch, you might have took my trailer, but you didn't take my pride. And I put signs up, put rebel flags up. Just, I'm not racist or anything. I look at it a lot different, I guess, as a rebel. That's all I'm looking at it as. Someone to fight back, I guess. And I painted my trailer. She wanted me out. I wanted to burn it down. Right there. I wanted to burn my trailer so she did not get to keep it. My buddy talked me out of it. He says if you do anything, you're going to have to pay for all the damages for the cleanup and everything. He talked me out of a lot of stuff. I wanted to just shred it so she did not get to keep it and be able to resell it. I've seen it too many times in there. And yes, this is Margaret and Henry Johnson people. So if you live in one of their trailer parks, make sure you get in a lease, because if they get mad at you, they kick you out. And I've seen it many times in their trailer park. But yeah, so this law drove me so crazy. This law drove me so crazy because she got to keep everything. She got to keep my American dream. Have a home, have my son, and I lost it all. It was ripped away from me. So yes, I reverted to drugs. I lost my mind. And prior to it, yes, I was an ex-drug addict. And I was clean since 1998 until 2015. when everything was ripped right away from me. Now do you see how I say the state of Michigan put me on drugs because of this? Because of this law. They drove me insane for a long time. For a long time. I hated Midland County. And I drove them nuts, and I'm going to get into a story with Hall about that. I was public enemy number one in Midland, Michigan. The good, the bad, the ugly, they all hated me. It didn't matter who they were. The drug people, the good people, the doctor people. Everybody hated me. But before that, you never heard a word from me until I lost everything I owned. And it eventually cost me my son for a year and 3 months. This is how bad this law fucked me up mentally. By the way, this is how the law fucked me up. Yes, I went to drugs. I hated it. I blamed the judge for so long. I tried to reach out to the newscaster, TV5. I tried to reach out to everybody. And nobody would help me. But in that second court date, when I was evicted, that judge asked me who my lawyer was. I said, Sam Bernstein, Your Honor. He laughed at me and said he's a personal injury lawyer and told me I was evicted. I lost it all. I believed in the justice system. I tried to be an good standing out citizen. Hell, I was in Pine View Grocery one day, and one of the workers there said her lights were about to be shut off. And I was at the casino, and I won a bunch of money. I gave her $1,000, no question asked. Go to Pine View. I don't know. I'm sure everything's video and audio there. They can vouch that I really did do that. I'm actually a good person in Midland County. I just grew a lot of hate, and I blamed it on the judge for a long time. But it wasn't the judge. He just had to do what the law stated for the state. It was the state law that did it. The state and the state law that drove me nuts. And I blamed it on Midland County because he was the judge that did it. I blamed him for the longest time. But yes, I got into drugs really bad. I went so crazy. I had the army vets, or the vets, I can't say army, the vets in general, following me around, trying to pretty much bust me. I believe I had like the doctors or college students try to help. Anyways, on the army, or not the army, but the vets, Indiana license plate, Stag 42. He was the leader in the operation with me. And Dr. Phil, if you're out there, I want you to find this out, if this is really true. I know it's true. If not, I will kiss your ass right on public TV. And if anybody can find out the truth, you can, Dr. Phil. So yes, I'm begging and pleading for anybody's help right now because I'm almost ready to lose my mind again. I'll tell you at the end of the story. So I drove around. Yes, I smoked crack. I did drugs. Drove this town nuts for 5 years, 6 years. By the way, Midland County Sheriff's Department, thank you. I think you guys actually see I wasn't mentally right, in my right mind. You're about the only ones that gave me any kind of not help, but remorse, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to say it. To me, you're the only ones that showed feelings to me. Hands down to you. Now the state police, I bet you I have been pulled over the most in Midland County, maybe the whole state of Michigan in the last year. But after terrorizing this town and hating the judge for pretty much kicking me out and giving my home away and not listening to me about these defective water meters that she had in there. And she did not want to listen to it, and that was the end of it. And that was that. This is the result of what happened. I went crazy. I hated it so much. I had everything torn away from me. It drove me insane. How would you feel if someone came and ripped your home away? Ripped everything you worked for, and now it's gone? You would lose it. You would lose it. I called Jeffrey Feiger. I need help. See, in the end, yes, in August, I did get caught with methamphetamines, but it was 2/10 in a pipe. Okay. I don't know about anything, but everywhere I call, they want $10,000 for a lawyer. From what my friends are telling me that have been in trouble with drugs or whatever, they say they're charging you, the state of Michigan's charging you the max. And when I was got before I got pulled over, I bet you in that week I got pulled over 4 times at least within 7 days. They were searching my car. They always pulled me over searching my car. Could never find nothing. Well, on August 23rd or 24th, they did. I found 2/10 and a meth pipe, and it sounds like, from what everybody's telling me, they're throwing the book at me hard because they're making sure I cannot retain a lawyer. I don't know. I don't know if this is normal for that little bit of dope, but I've had 2 drunk drivings, and a drunk driving was only $750, and then my second one was like $2,000. And one of them had marijuana on me, and that was a drug back then, a drug possession. This is a paper right here, what they're charging me with, if anybody wants to see it. But that day I got pulled over, Stag 42, Indiana license plate, goes to Godwin's in Midland, Michigan all the time. Cars there a lot. He was the leader of like the military vets. And the day I got pulled over, they all drove by me, smiling. They hated me. Well, I'm really not a bad people. I got balls to come on here and do this and say this. I want somebody to have balls enough to say, yeah, we did do this. Okay. I want somebody to tell me the truth on their end. But now you see what drove me temporarily insane. I'm sorry, I apologize, but I'm not a bad guy. Even on my darkest hours, when I was smoking all that crack, I found a purse with $10,000 cash in it. Cash. You know what I did? I dialed the number off the cell phone that said daughter. I called Andrea Holcomb and Joe Holcomb out of Sanford, Michigan. If you want to ask them what kind of person I am, if you really want to get to know me, I returned that whole $10,000. Boy, I could have bought me a lot of crack. I could have bought me a lot of meth. Could have bought a lot of drugs. Hell, I could have went and bought me and my son a house, rented a house, done a lot better for us. There's a lot of things I could have done with that $10,000, but I did the right thing. I returned that purse. Reach out to them and ask them what kind of person I am. See, everybody hated me because I had so much hate and anger. That part I do apologize for. But I can't take back time. But how would you feel? Would you temporarily lose it if your house and everything was taken away from you? I was stripped of home. And so was my son. My son paid the worst out of everything. He paid through 6 years of fucking hell. Of me going crazy. Terrorizing this town pretty much. By going around smoking crack, hating everybody. But, yes, it got so bad. I don't know if anybody knows, but I pretty much had a green light on me through the bad, the good. It seemed like they tried to help me with the sheriffs. They not help me. They understood where I was coming from, I guess. See, kids, this is where an education is more very valuable in life. Any advice is that I could give a child, at least take your basic knowledge of law. That way you know the laws in your state for when you get older. So nothing can happen like this to anybody. That would be my very, very smart advice. But yes, I drove around and smoked crack. I even had a drone. Dr. Phil, this is where you would come in. If anybody really wants to know I'm telling the truth and go find out the truth, I think you could. You're about the only one that could and would waste the time to do it. But they had drones messing with me, following me. I had the good people follow me. I had the construction people. They would drive by me and swerve at me at times because they were mad at me. And I think construction people broke down and says, we can't beat them. Give them a job. Let's see if we can change them. Thank you, Paul Orvash and Jason Travano. You did.